A world where anyone can be anything. Disney's Zootopia initially portrays an equal and utopian society where everyone peacefully coexists. However, as the film progresses, it contrasts and portrays the exact opposite. The story goes through the journey of Judy Hopps, a female rabbit who dreams of becoming a successful cop, and Nick Wilde, a fox who gets dragged along because of his tax evasion, and their goal is to try and solve a case in which multiple predators have gone missing. Through the journey of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, the film displays how power structures marginalize certain groups to maintain control. The film displays various instances of systemic discrimination, aka othering, and the development of gender constructs. I first want to expand on what I mean by othering. In Edward Said's book, Orientalism, Said describes the relationship between the East versus the West, in which the West is civilized, controlled, and smart, whereas the East is the total opposite. They're savage, uncivilized, and dumbfounded. The idea of portraying the East in savagery is the idea of othering, where the majority depict the minority as incompetent, all of which is used so that the West can maintain a system of control. The concept is introduced multiple times throughout Zootopia, the strongest of which was when Nick Wilde wanted to become the first fox in the Zootopia Junior Ranger Troop.
Wilde promised to be brave, loyal, helpful, and trustworthy.
Even though you're a fox?
What? No! What did I do wrong, you guys? No! Please tell me, what did I do wrong? What did I do?
If you thought we would ever trust a fox without a muzzle, here you...
As seen, Nick was a happy youngster who only focused on doing his best, yet the majority belittled him, going as far as saying, "You really think we're going to trust a fox without a muzzle?" In the scene, the majority or the prey hold the light because their reasoning and thoughts are the correct ones, while they point the light at Nick because they believe him to be wrong and savage, thus belittling him. In that scene, it also goes dark, which hints at the dehumanizing that occurs when the majority others the minority. The flaws within Zootopia's society, as the majority, or the prey, ignore all of Nick's actions and solely focus on his nature rather than his actual character, although it's not really his nature. The majority restrain and see the other as a threat of violence and savagery that needs to be controlled with a muzzle, and thus silence the minority and redefine their character. All of which is further supported soon after by Nick saying, "There's no point in trying to be anything else."
If the world's only gonna see a fox as shifty and untrustworthy, there's no point in trying to be anything else.
Nick.
Meaning, Wilde has accepted society's view of himself. Thus, Wilde reinforces the very structure that marginalized him because he does nothing to oppose it, but instead plays into its system. Furthermore, after discovering all the lost predators, Judy Hopps gives a speech.
That they are all members of the predator family.
So, predators are the only ones going savage?
That is yes, that is accurate, yes.
Why? Why is this happening?
We still don't know. But, it may have something to do with biology.
What do you mean by that?
A biological component, something in their DNA.
As said by Hopps, it's in their nature. Hopps further reinforces the stigma and actually assumes that predator violence is biological rather than learned. By labeling predator violence as biological, Zootopia's fear and prejudice against predators becomes more widespread and rationalized. As a result, predators like Nick Wilde become more ostracized and isolated from society. The example very directly parallels post-colonial rule, as natives were seen as biologically insane, which led to the West/the majority to dehumanize them and invalidate any opinions or cultural values that they held as a group. Lastly, the film never truly resolves the stigma of predators and the manner in which Zootopia has othered them. The film ends with the case having been solved, but no further push to unite everyone together and desensitize the West versus East mentality. While solving the case may have lessened the already growing prejudice, it didn't address it, but rather highlighted how people see each other in regard to violence. The majority sees Nick as this, rather than this. In this sense, it leaves the prejudice towards predators largely intact, which can lead to similar outcomes as what happened to Nick Wilde in his childhood. Furthermore, I wanted to expand on the gender constructs part as well. In Laura Mulvey's Visual Pleasure in Narrative Cinema, she expands on the male gaze and how films present women as objects and passive characters. Through this lens, male counterparts are able to maintain dominance and control over society. In a sense, both Orientalism and the male gaze intertwine to marginalize groups and aid the dominant group in preserving ongoing power structures. Much like the profiling of the predators, the reinforcement of gender hierarchies occurs multiple times within the movie. One of the most notable being when Hobbs first joins the Zootopia police. Hobbs is able to successfully become a cop, but quickly realizes she's not equal to her colleagues. Both in a physical and gender sense, all her colleagues seem to be stronger, smarter, and of course males. She makes the realization she's also not viewed to be intellectually on their level by the task her chief Bogo gives her.
Parking duty. Dismissed.
Parking duty?
In turn, the movie shows that she is incompetent compared to others. This is awful as Hobbs is very capable, which can be seen in moments like when she defeated a rhino who was clearly bigger and stronger than her. Yet despite that, she's belittled for her appearance by her male counterparts. In like manner to Nick, her identity is erased because of who she is inherently, all of which contribute and solidify to Mulvey's male gaze argument, as she is seen as meaningless and serving little to no purpose within the station and plot. By limiting Judy's ability to do anything, the dominant or majority, or males, repress her ideas and influence over power. Thus, males continue their control over positions of power like the police force, which keeps the patriarchy intact and belittles females. Soon after, she is allowed 48 hours to solve the Emmett Otterton's case. Chief Bogo obviously doesn't believe in her and thus gives her a merely impossible task. And 10 hours before the limit, she is told to hand her badge and almost does, until Nick intervenes.
Said was no. She will not be giving you that badge. Look, you gave her a clown vest and a 3-wheeled joke-mobile in 2 days to solve a case you guys haven't cracked in 2 weeks? Yeah, it's no wonder she needed to get help from a fox. None of you guys were going to help her, were you? Here's the thing, Chief. You gave her the 48 hours, so technically we still have 10 left to find our Mr. Otterton. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So, if you'll excuse us, we have a very big lead to follow and a case to crack.
Her tone is weak, posture lacking, and overall character diminished in comparison to Nick and Bogo's appearance. Ultimately, if it weren't for Nick, Judy Hopps wouldn't have gone far, and that's what the film implies. With Nick's posture and male authority, the film makes it seem like Nick is the one who drove the investigation and was able to stand firm. He also had knowledge and connections such as knowing Flash from the DMV, which ultimately led them to crack the case. Thus, this scene further minimizes Judy, the female protagonist, as not active but rather passive character who is only able to react when a male is present. Otherwise, she would have willingly given her badge and had to have left the police station. The film suggests the thought that women must operate through the masculine lens and that they are passive rather than driving the actual plot. This helps uphold the patriarchal structure by making it seem that women must operate within the male framework, otherwise they can't progress, which is outright wrong. Despite that, Disney continuously reveals that message throughout the film. Although the creators of Zootopia, Byron Howard and Rich Moore, believed that they were making a film in support of marginalized groups, as spoken in many interviews and implied through the movie's cover, they actually reinforced racism and never solved the problem, but just exposed it. Additionally, they reinforced the patriarchal structure within the film and maintained a theme of male dominance.